Okay, so today I'm reviewing a JDSU MTS-5800 Network tester. I'd like to say thanks to Angelo from CoverTel for supplying this unit for today's review. This is a very well built, well constructed unit, very solid. It's got two cooling fans, one on this side and one on this side over here, hence it's why it's so loud. It is quite a loud unit. You can hear it much quieter when you turn it off. The on and off switch is down here. You power it up. It takes a few moments for the unit to switch on, and it's presented straight onto the test screens, which are these screens over here, and we'll review those in a moment. But for now, this is the system screen. There's a few settings that you can change from this screen here. Nothing for me to do right now, so I can leave it on the test screen. I'd just like to show you the back of the unit here. So the back of the unit is, this is quite a sophisticated unit. It's fully optioned. If I turn it over, you can see here all of the different test units that can be loaded on this system, and you can see all the ticks that have been ticked in these boxes. This unit is one of CoverTel's demonstrations units, and so it's been preloaded with everything that JDSU has to offer. So just have a look at the back of the unit. You can see here that we've got an external clock input, coax, 75 ohm high frequency coax receive and transmit units here, an E1 port, a couple of other receive and transmits for DS1, receive and transmit here for a secondary coax port. This is a dual port unit, so you can actually run independent tests. So we can see here we've got port 1, we've got an Ethernet 10100 1 gig port, an XFP, SFP and SFP port here. So this is, I believe, the high speed fiber optic, and these are standard fiber optic inputs. This is a power. I've got it powered because the battery was going a little bit flat, so I've plugged it into power, and there's a port there for headphones, just a standard headphone jack. The back of the unit obviously has some connectors here to allow a strap to be put on. There's two there. The feet of the unit just plug in like that, put away. A little stylus that comes with it just goes in there and gets snugly put away. So we'll just take the stylus out, unlock the unit here, unlock the feet, put them up. On the side of the unit there's two USB ports. There's a 10BASE-T Ethernet port. This is for management, so you can plug this into your local network or plug this in directly to your laptop, so you can manage the unit remotely. So you can manage the unit via VNC and also RS-232 serial. The other side's just got the fan and some air inlets on the base. Okay, it's quite a heavy unit. I'm not exactly sure of the weight, but I'd reckon there's a couple of kilos, maybe 2 kilograms in this. Just lost the power plug, so I'll just plug that back in. And once I've plugged that in, you can see that it's gone back on charge. Alright, so what we'll do today to just show you how this unit works. Obviously this is a very sophisticated unit. It costs in the many thousands of dollars. I've been told it's probably upwards of $15,000 to $20,000, maybe $30,000. I'm not exactly sure, but certainly this is the unit that any professional network engineer or tester should have in their arsenal. Now, just to demonstrate how this unit works today, I've got it plugged into just a Netgear router here. Okay, nothing special. It's a router provided for an Optus broadband network. I've got no high frequency coax plugged in, so it's not really going to do much other than provide the ports that we need just to do this testing. Alright, so we can see here that I've got ports 1 and 3 connected, and they're connected to the unit. Let me have a look. Port 1 is this one here on port 1 of our tester, and port 3 is connected to port 2 of our tester. Alright. So as we begin the tests, you'll see a little bit of activity happening on these lights. So what I'll do now is we'll go straight into the test unit here, and we're simply going to run an Ethernet test. Because I've got the unit plugged into a router, we're going to allow the tester to complete its own auto negotiation, create its own traffic, and we'll create 512 frame size. We'll deliver some payload in this testing under the BERT standard. Alright, I'm not really going to worry about much else. Let's just get this test underway. So at the moment the test does say it's running. It is a continuous test. We'll restart the test here. Okay, so we'll restart. It's restarted there for 0 seconds. It's just counting. And we'll restart the test on port 2 as well. So there it is at 0 seconds restarted. So all I've done is click the restart button. Now there's no traffic at the moment, so you can see down here that these buttons are flashing. It's telling me that the actions that I can take are to start some traffic. So I'll do that right now. I'll start some traffic there, and we can see that the lights are engaged. Port 2 will start some traffic as well here. And I might just restart this and we'll see. Okay, so at the moment it's testing, and you can see that traffic is certainly being delivered to this router. So far all of the results are okay. We can have a look at the amount of data that's being sent, so received and received here, transmitted and transmitted here. So we can let this test go for a while. I've noticed that on this particular router, after a fair bit of traffic, and obviously we're really delivering a fair bit of payload to this router, one of the ports do fail, and the system tester will actually pick that up. And I noticed that port 4 fails quicker than any of the others. So what I might do is, just for the purposes of the exercise, if I go over to port 2, which I'm running the port 2 test, I'm going to unplug this one and put it into port 4. Now obviously you can see that the moment that I unplugged it, it picked up an error, and there we go, the test's rerunning again. Let's see if we can make both of these tests come good again. So we'll restart port 1 and restart port 2. There we go. We'll start the traffic. There we go, traffic started there, and traffic started there, good. Alright, so everything seems to be running. I'm not sure how long it'll take now before one of these ports fail. It did take a little while before, but certainly port 4 was coming up with an error. All seems to be quite fine at this point in time. No errors have been detected on any of the ports that we're testing. So given that that's working fine, I might leave these tests to go for now, and we'll see if any errors come up. In the meantime, what we'll do is we'll engage the unit to do a enhanced RFC 2544 test. So let's just engage that and we'll wait for this test to load. Now, I had originally loaded I can load a configuration. I've got one here called that. We'll load these properties. We'll have a look at what the properties are. So I've had a test that I pre-configured. We can have a look at what the configuration settings are. So we're doing a symmetric test. Okay, so we're going to loop back the test, so we're generating the traffic and measuring it locally as well. We'll go back into here. Now I think that what we should do is potentially, being that we'll try no encapsulation, see what happens. I may need to add an encapsulation to the test. We'll use a Dix style test. No, we're not going to use a template. Now let's do some simple tests, because obviously the more tests we do, the longer that this will take. So we'll test for throughput, latency, any frame loss, and I might do a burst test as well, just to see. Okay, we'll click next. We're going to run at a bandwidth of 100 megabits per second, and we'll do two tests. Actually, we'll just do one test again, just to make it a little bit quicker. A frame length of 1024. So click next. We're going to use the RFC 2544 standard, error to within 1 megabit. We're going to, again, the standard granularity of 10 megabits, and that should be it. So, well, committed burst size, that's fine. We'll run the test only, we'll run each of the tests only for 5 seconds, and we'll only do one trial, okay? So obviously the more thorough testing that you need would require you to increase these, but we're only going to run this test for 5 seconds and repeat it once, just so it doesn't take too long. Alright, so throughput, frame loss, we'll show these things here. We'll show the bursts. Let's have a look. Click next. We're not going to save this profile. We'll just skip and we'll run the test. There we go. Okay, so the first thing is we'll start the test, and what we'll do during this is it's now running a test. What the unit calls a J quick check. So what the J quick check does is send packets of data down the line to make sure that the unit can actually cope with the type of test that we're going to be running. No use in running a 4-hour test and then all of a sudden the unit, what you're testing, will fail. Okay, so this is now passed. Okay, everything's fine. We've got the throughput that we want, so we're measured throughput a gigabit. And the reason I've got blue lights here is because this is a gigabit link. If they were orangey yellow lights, it would be a 100 meg link. We've got 1000 meg, so it's a gigabit link. And the router has coped with that throughput. So we'll click next and we'll run this test. So now this is the RFC 2544 tests that we're going to do. It will begin to prepare the tests and off it goes. As you can see, the traffic is now started on the unit. It's now testing throughput and latency. Obviously it's stopped, so it's probably going to be doing a bit of measuring. There we go, the tests have started again. 20 seconds to go. You can see the time remaining here, percentage of the test completed. And it's good that we can actually see when the tests start and stop on the unit. 7 seconds to go, bit of a pause. You can see that the tests are passing. As the test continues down the line, it's ticking them off. No problems, so this router seems to be passing all the tests that we're doing, which is good. Okay, so our throughput and burst tests have passed. The latency and frame loss tests have been completed. Assuming that means they've passed as well. There's no fails, the fail would be a red cross. But now we can have a look at what the outcome is. So we'll just plonk that to the side. What I can do now is I can have a look at a report. So we can click a report. Now obviously if you're a technician doing a test for an organisation, you can fill in details here about who your customer is and your ID, etc, etc. I'm not going to worry about any of that. I'm just going to click next. It asks me, how do you want this report, in CSV, text, HTML, XML or PDF. I'll ask it to produce a PDF, create report. In the meantime, you can see over here that the blue lights are flashing again. Now if you remember, even though the RFC test has been completed, our original test that we were running here in the background is actually still going. So that test is a continuous test and doesn't stop until we tell it to stop. So it's just continuing to run that test in the background. Alright, so here's our report. Now I did ask for it to be in a PDF. It'd probably be a lot simpler and quicker if it was just a text report. So we can have a look here and we can see that we've got a few test details. Let's go down. Okay, so let's have a look at this. You can see that the throughput, so this is our throughput test, and it's very, very close to the 100% mark, or in megabits. You know, as we go down the layers 1, 2, 3 and 4 of the OSI model, that's what the L's stand for, I assume. Obviously at the physical layer we're getting 100 megabit per second throughput, and as we go up the layer a little bit, we'd expect a little bit of latency, but that's fantastic with what coming through. There's our frame length test. We've only tested for one frame length size. Remember how we could select different frame lengths? If we had, the test would take longer, but we'd have a larger range of bars here indicating how each frame length went during the test. All right. So zero loss of data. So we can see here we're right on 0. So this is the frame loss. So any of the tests that we performed had a 0 frame loss. Alright, and obviously that's the rest of the report. Just basically indicating that all the tests have been done. There was no frame loss, the throughput passed, so everything passed under the RFC 2544 standard. So given that, we could effectively now certify that this router complies with RFC 2544. Alright, so we'll exit this because that's the end of our testing using this module, so we can exit that. The RFC 2544 test will now close and it will take us back to the normal router testing. So as you can see, there's still a test going on here. Now that was the test on port 4, which originally I thought had some bit errors, but that seems to be going well. And this one here, for some reason it seems to have stopped, but we could probably start the traffic again on this port and restart this test here. Okay, so maybe we can just change that to BERT, and there we go, we're all good again. So that concludes the review of this test unit. I'd certainly highly recommend that if you're needing or in the market to purchase one of these, to give CoverTel a call to help you out with one of these units, and certainly provide any support and assistance that you need. We can turn the unit off now just so you can see how quiet the room becomes once I shut it down. So we'll power off this unit, give it a few moments for it to power off. I'll stop talking and you can hear the difference in the noise. Wow, how quiet is that? Alright, well once again thank you so much for your time and for watching, and I hope you've gained some knowledge from this video. Goodbye.